he's going to talk about some of his experience and thoughts about working in the, taking some of those values and practices from southern Mexico and using them in kind of a local context.
Hi, how's everybody doing? Again, my name is Joaquin. I'm from Los Angeles. I grew up in South Central Los Angeles. And I guess, like, first of all, like, you know, I'm not good at talking to people. You know, I'd rather, like, be part of a dialogue, you know. But, you know, hopefully we can get more into that after everybody presents, you know. So briefly, like, I'm gonna get into, like, what solidarity means to me, and why, you know, I guess, like, how it relates to the work that I'm doing, like the community organizing that we're doing, and how we connect with people in Oaxaca and people in Chiapas and down south in general. So to me, like, solidarity means that, you know, we fight alongside people who are already fighting, you know. Like, in general, I think that people in the U.S. have a lot more privilege, you know, than people in, quote unquote, the third world. You know, even though we might be oppressed here, we have our specific forms of oppression. Here, we definitely have a privilege, you know, and also a responsibility in our hands. You know, the U.S. is responsible for the suffering and the oppression of many people around the world, and the reason, you know, they do this is, you know, is so quote unquote, so people can live comfortably within the empire. So I think that, you know, that being because I was born here in the U.S. and my parents are from Mexico, I still have privilege, you know. Even if I go to Mexico, you know, I have more privilege, you know, and I recognize that, and because of that, you know, I figure that, you know, we have to build with people who are fighting down south, you know, and support them in any way we can, whether it be by raising resources, but more importantly for me, it means, like, changing things here, like, you know, basically, you know, like, taking on the empire from within. You know, we were living, like, you know, they used to say, in the belly of the beast, you know. So, you know, that is the reason why I am part of Cop Watch LA, and why I support, like, organizations that do that type of work. Community organizing, or just the work that is going to, you know, basically build a foundation for a popular movement here within the empire. So just with that said, you know, I think that it's kind of funny to be part of this conference. You know, like, at first, like, you know, like, when I was asked to be part of it, like, I felt you know, like, good, you know, because it was going to be a dialogue. But when I saw that, you know, people had to pay $150 to register and all these other things, so I was like, wow, like, you know, who is this for? You know, I mean, who is this conference for? It's not for people that I work with in South Central or MacArthur Park, Pico Union, people who can't afford $150, you know, I mean, can't afford to come to school or whatever, you know what I mean? So I think that, like, you know, this conference is, like, you know, like, it's still not dealing with, like, the privileges that we need to challenge as well. Like, I think it's good to talk about white supremacy and settler colonialism, because those are the things that are affecting us on a day-to-day basis. But if we're not actually doing what it takes to, like, challenge it directly and doing the work that we need to do, then it's not gonna change. So I just needed to make that point, because, you know, I'm speaking at this conference, you know, and nobody's from my communities here except for my friend who I came with, you know. And I'm pretty sure there's people here that come from those communities too, you know, that were able to be part of this conference. So I just want to talk about, make that point. Just, you know, like I said, you know, I'm part of Cop Watch LA. We're an organization that was started in South Central LA, Long Beach, Boyle Heights, and East LA, and different parts of Los Angeles. Oppressed communities, or communities that are always, like, resisting or always being attacked by state violence, basically. The reason why Cop Watch LA came about was because there were murders happening on a day-to-day basis of, like, young children and basically, like, children of color. Like, in Watts, there was a 19-year-old baby that was killed. Her name was Susie Lopez Peña. There was a 13-year-old black young male that was killed in Compton. His name was Devin Brown. So after these murders, we felt that, you know, we needed to do something to stop it before that type of, you know, murder happens ever again. So we felt that we need to build an organization that was going to take direct action and confront the police when they're doing their business as usual, which means like harassing young people of color and oppressed communities, you know, and that means like, you know, like trans people and means women, and means like, you know, queer folks too, you know, that get harassed by the police in their communities. So we want to build is the type of network that people are organizing in their own neighborhood to challenge the police, because we know the conditions that exist in our own neighborhoods. You know, we can't have people that don't live there come in there and tell us how we're gonna liberate ourselves or how we're gonna organize to fight the police, because they're not really dealing with it. You know, they can go back to their homes and, you know, or to their neighborhoods that, you know, don't deal with it and not suffer the repercussions that the people there that live there do. So, you know, we'd heard about Cop Watch through like organizations that have been doing Cop Watch as well, like people in Berkeley and other cities, but specifically and especially like people like the Black Panther Party and organizations like that have challenged the police and have basically raised the level of combativity in their own communities to actually deal with, like, you know, that type of violence, that state violence that you know, comes from a history of colonialism, comes from a history of white supremacy and genocide, you know? So that's why we felt that we need to form that type of organization. But for us, it's just one arm of a larger movement that needs to be built, you know, because the police just makes up one arm of the state apparatus, which makes up like the prisons, it makes up like the government and all these other institutions that keep us oppressed basically on a daily basis. So we formed, at that time we were also part of we were forming the Revolutionary Autonomous Communities, and that organization basically was an all people of color organization, and especially like anti-authoritarian and anti-capitalist, like young people of color that were in Cop Watch and felt that we needed to build a larger movement to deal with like capitalism, imperialism, white supremacy, and patriarchy. So, you know, RAC, after there were these huge marches that happened on May Day in 2006, you know, there was over 1 million people that marched in Los Angeles. The following year, there was a march that happened that was the similar march that got attacked by the police in MacArthur Park. There was families, there was children out there, and they were shot with rubber bullets, with tear gas, and they were hit with batons. After that happened, the police came out and blamed young people, they came out and blamed anarchists, they came out and blamed even Cop Watch for doing that. So RAC, basically, we went out into the community, and because we come from, a lot of us come from those neighborhoods, we were talking to people, and we built kind of like we had a people's assembly, which was something that was taken from like Oaxaca, the Apo in particular, just people, indigenous people, you know, basically like when they organize, they have councils, they don't have like representatives that make decisions for them. You know, they actually get together and make their own decisions to talk about what happened and to get the truth out, and then come with ideas about how it's going to be dealt, you know, how things are going to be dealt with. So we had a people's assembly, and through that, you know, we created a food program, and because we felt that, you know, we need to stay there in the park and have a presence and say that, you know, we're not going to be ran out, you know, we're not going to make way for gentrification or for all these things that police want, you know, to happen, basically, to get rid of people that live there, mainly people from Central America, and you know, so that's what RAC basically, we had a food program, and they've been doing it for like 3 years. So I guess just to wrap up, like the work that we do is inspired by the movements in Oaxaca and Chiapas. We learn from like the Magoista movement and the Zapatista movement, and you know, we have to go beyond solidarity, in my opinion. We have to, you know, even though we have different conditions here in the U.S., it doesn't mean we can't learn from it, you know, and apply things that have to do with autonomy, have to do with like popular and direct democracy and participatory democracy, we can learn from that and build a foundation for a popular movement that will take down the empire from within. So, thank you.